I read the script and I was intrigued by the character and the whole world, and then I went and watched Annabelle, the original movie, and I really enjoyed that. I loved the production value in the movie, and I loved the relationship between the couple, and I just thought it was a really interesting story. And then I met David, and then I really wanted to do it. I just really responded to him, and I watched Lights Out, and I thought he'd done a really great job with all the performances in that, and I just felt like I trusted him, and it would be really fun to go on a journey like this with him.
Great. Anthony?
I like the genre. I mean, I'd never done a horror film, so the genre appealed, and then the script, and then the director. I had a meeting with him, and really, I liked him. So it was not that hard a decision.
And let's talk about your character. So tell us who you play and a little bit about him.
I play Samuel Mullins. He's the doll maker. Annabelle's his creation. And you know, ever since the tragedy that befalls them early in the film, they've lived a life of total seclusion. And then this, you know, bus of orphans kind of shows up, and he's not that happy about it, but goes along with it, much to his peril.
And Miranda, tell us about your character.
I play Esther Mullins, who's Samuel's wife. They've been, you know, very happily married with a beautiful daughter, and then something terrible happens. And then they go into a period of grief, and then they find a way to reconnect with their daughter, but it's not a good idea, and it turns out it's not really their daughter. And then in the present day of the film, Esther's very mysterious. You find it hard to get a glimpse of her at first. She's behind all these curtains and a mask, and you're not really sure what has transpired over all those years and what kind of person she's turned into after this tragedy. And she's one of those kind of characters that kids make up stories about.
You know, it's interesting because you both of you do so well in the beginning, like you said, it's a very happy family, and you can see what has the toll that it has taken, and we can see it in your face and your actions, but we don't get a chance to really see it so much with you, but you're able to convey all this emotion. Did you do it? What was your approach to that? You know, being behind, we don't see a lot of you in those later years, but we can feel you.
I felt like what was important about her was that a part of her had died from that experience, and that it was sort of about the energy level of the character. That's why it's the hardest scene, I guess, is when Stephanie comes in with the doll and all of that, because suddenly it's very dramatic. Before that, it's mainly about the sense of like a reawakening of her in some way, to have these children in the house again, to actually dare to hope that the world could be a good place again, that she dares to hope that, and then of course those hopes are dashed. I don't know, you just sort of dig into all those kind of things.
Yeah, it was good. And Anthony, let's talk about Annabelle. What is her role in this family?
Well, I mean, initially she was a replacement, you know, something to replace the loss. And then it got a bit weirder, you know, they kept making contracts with entities they didn't know much about. And, you know, it's kind of like, you know, I think if you're ever unfortunate enough to lose a child, there's a desperation that goes along with that. Like, what could you have done? Could you have changed it? You want them there, or, you know, all the expectations that are cut short when a young person dies. And I think that, so his intent in the beginning was good intent. It was a placebo, I guess, in a way of filling the hole, but it doesn't.
Right, and that brings up a good point. How relatable do you think this is, that parents would go to such extremes, you know, to, I guess, have their daughter back in their lives? I mean, Do you think that people are going to relate to that?
I think it's something that people don't like to think about. Like, I don't like to think about that scenario at all myself. But at the same time, I think you empathize with that situation because you think if something like that were to happen to me and I had the chance to feel the presence of my daughter again or have some semblance of her, even if I couldn't have her as a real child to have and to hold, but if I could just have a little bit of that back, what wouldn't you do to have that?
That's
what wouldn't you do?
That's why mediums do so well,
Yeah, exactly.
because they sell that, you know.
Yeah, just like that little bit of light for a minute is so tempting, and they don't know when, I mean, there's a series of notes and things like that. They don't see that as an evil presence. They think they've been blessed by some miracle,
Right. Right.
But Annabelle does not play well with others. That's the problem. Single child syndrome.